With great power comes great responsibility. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Bedtime Catholicism Podcast. I am Jared, the host of the Applied Saint YouTube channel. And today on episode 34 of this podcast, I just want to talk about Spider-Man. I mean, next week, Spider-Man Brand New Day comes out in the Phase 5 section of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think it's Phase 5. If I'm wrong, please correct me. I'm going to Google that after this video. But yeah, you know how Marvel is. We're going back up with the Marvel movies now. Marvel always they're always doing some weird stuff like go down in quality, go up in quality, back up, down. Like, it's like, dude, Marvel, why can't you just consistently come out with good movies? Like, I don't understand. Anyways, yeah, Spider-Man Brand New Day. I just want to talk about, being content with yourself, because I think Spider-Man teaches us a very good lesson, especially at the end of No Way Home. For some background, after Spider-Man Far From Home, which transitions into No Way Home, our Peter Parker, his identity is revealed. Spider-Man's identity is revealed as Peter Parker. He loses his scholarships. He loses basically everything, his education, a normal life. He failed to protect his identity. He swore to protect his identity so that he could protect his friends, and now that identity was revealed by the evil villain Mysterio, which was kind of like insane and was kind of like mentally confusing for me when I first watched it. I was 9 years old. Guys, no, I wasn't. Was I? Yeah, I was 9 years old when Far From Home came out, and I was 11 when No Way Home came out. Holy crap. Yeah, so all these things just unraveled during my, childhood years before I was a teenager, my preteen years, I guess. But like I was saying, yeah, so Peter is desperate for answers, and so he goes to Doctor Strange because he doesn't like his life. He's embarrassed by the fact that everyone knows who he is. But the thing is, here's the problem. When he tries to go to Doctor Strange to get some help, Peter doesn't know what he's doing. And he ends up creating a rift, a crack in the space-time continuum, and a bunch of all these villains just come in from different universes, and even different Spider-Men show up. I forgot to give a spoiler warning if you guys didn't see No Way Home, but I mean, it's 2026. You guys should have seen No Way Home by now. But yeah, Peter wasn't very content with his life at the moment. So I guess he was upset with the universe or the world, I guess. And he couldn't control his own life. The media controlled his life by that point. And when all of these villains start to come in, and eventually by the end of the movie, Green Goblin starts to do all this crazy stuff, and he ends up killing Aunt May. And that's where Peter learns, with great power comes great responsibility, which honestly, I don't know why Peter wasn't told that earlier in the storyline, because if he had known that, this whole problem would have been fixed, okay? He just needed that simple reminder. With great power comes great responsibility. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. You know why? Because even though he knew with great power comes great responsibility, because he knew that, he still chose to use his powers by the end of the movie to try to kill the Green Goblin. Why? Because he was enraged by the fact that he killed his aunt. He was enraged. And I guess a part of him, from the beginning of the movie, was still building up some of that tension inside, even though, because he had been going through all of this crazy stuff. Life had thrown him into the depths of darkness and confusing times. He didn't know what to do. The only guidance he had was Aunt May. He wasn't like Daredevil. He didn't have a Catholic priest. He didn't have, all these different role models in his life. He just had his best friends and Aunt May. And I don't blame Peter for that. But what I do blame is the fact that we have an ability nowadays to talk to anyone in the world. We have the ability to talk to God. And yet, we still harbor in our hearts deep hatred for others, anger towards God. And some of this is completely normal. Sometimes we forget that even superheroes within these fictional contexts, they're still human. And if they don't act like us, I mean, honestly, that's on the writer's fault. That's on the writer's doing. Because if the writer doesn't recognize that we are also human, that Peter's a human, that, you know, Superman's a human, Batman's a human. Well, of course, he didn't have powers. That any superpowered individual, if any comic book writer writes into a story that a superhero who is basically just us is not human, or doesn't have human characteristics, I guess, then that's honestly not realistic. That's why I don't like some iterations of certain superheroes, because they're just not realistic. They don't feel human. For example, Man of Steel. Henry Cavill's Superman. Yeah, he had some human aspects, like he liked Lois Lane. He had a human body, I guess, technically, on the outward appearance, of course. But other than that, you know, he didn't really seem like a human in Man of Steel. In Zack Snyder's Justice League, he didn't seem like a human. I couldn't really resonate with that Superman. But when last year's Superman came out with David Cornsweet, I felt a connection. I felt a connection, and that's why every superhero writer needs to write in some sort of humanity. That's just my personal opinion, though. But like I was saying, like, we can be angry towards God, and we can be, you know, hateful towards others, maybe. But we cannot let those things distance ourselves away from God. Because if we are not being authentic, if we're not being up in front with others or with God about how we're feeling, then we cannot be a good body of Christ. We can't. It's impossible. And in addition to that, like, also, we have to be content with what we have. From the very beginning of the film Spider-Man No Way Home, Peter just figured that the only way to fix it was basically to change the minds of everyone so that they'd forget who he was. And even then, by the time it was ready for Doctor Strange to perform the spell, Peter wasn't even content with that. I guess my point here is that without preparation, without, you know, reflection, if we don't continue to contemplate the certain things that we have in our life, if we don't continue to sit down and reflect on the things that we have in this world right now, if we can't fix things ourselves, then we have to leave it up to God. We have to leave it up to God, because honestly, changing the minds of everyone, that's...
Did you add that?
Hi, I'm filming a video.
Oh.
Guys, I have a mom, y'all. She's amazing, and they're getting married. They're getting married soon, y'all. But like I was saying, if we're not content with what we have in this world, if we don't take a chance to sit down and just ask ourselves, what are we really wanting to do in this world, then we have to leave it up to God. Wiping the minds of everyone is not literally the only solution to all your problems, okay? It most certainly not. Neither is trying to kill Willem Dafoe. I mean, Willem Dafoe is like the best freaking villain, and you're trying to kill him? Like, I don't understand. That was an L. That was an L on Spider-Man for that. I mean, how could you kill my Drip King? Like, hello? That is literally the CEO of Drip. Oh, and by the way, the CEO, Ned Leeds. Hi, I'm Filipino, y'all. Give me a call, guys. Give me a call. I'll work for you personally. Yeah. Yes, I will. Okay. But like, yeah, our humanity is dependent on us depending on God. I hope that makes sense. Our humanity is rooted in humbling ourselves to know that we don't have the power to change everything. We don't have the power to fix things on our own. And that's a lesson we can learn from Spider-Man, honestly, and in our Christian life. If we cannot fix our personal problems on our own, we just have to leave it up to God, because God's timing is perfect. And we have to know that. We have to. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode of Bedtime Catholicism. I'm keeping it short and sweet. I'm keeping it short and sweet because I have AYC next week. So please pray for me. Please pray for my parish and for all the parishes coming to AYC in the Archdiocese of Galveston, Houston. Because honestly, like, it is a W. It is a W conference. Or at least that's what I've been told. Ave Christus Rex and Ave Maria.